Well, hi everyone. It's really my great pleasure and honor to be here to present our recent research on stroke treatment. It's not a drug, it's a medical device. We consider it as a new mechanism to treat clot. So apologize, second speaker on the stage is also an engineer. I'm with mechanical engineering at Stanford, but I'm pretty sure that guarantee you're still in the right room. So let's start. Starting from a little bit background here. So if we look at the data here, 1/3 of the global death is caused by circulatory diseases. And among those deaths, 80%, 85% of these diseases and death are actually caused by clot-related problems. So starting from one question, if I want to ask the audience here, anybody here have a family member or friends ever had a heart attack or stroke? Please raise your hand. If you look around, pretty much everybody had such experience with a family member and friends. So if we look at, the clot, the microstructure of clot is, let me go back right here. If we look at the clot, it's made of fibrin network constraining all the red blood cells. It's really important to know the microstructure of it because the mechanism that we are introducing to treat clot is highly dependent on this microstructure. So moving forward, we know the clot can be in anywhere in the human body because we have blood vessels everywhere in the body. So taking stroke as an example, if we have a blood clot blocking the blood vessel in the brain, it causes a ischemic stroke. And what we're looking at here is the angiogram showing where the clot is, where the yellow arrow is pointing, that is where the clot is blocking the blood flow in the vessel in the brain. And through the MRI images, if we look at the whitish tissue, that shows the permanent dead tissue, brain tissue. So if we can open up the vessel right now, immediately, that means that we can actually stop the spreading of the dead tissue in the brain. And so currently, there is a technology called the mechanical thrombectomy. These are the technologies that are using catheters to go into the blood vessel and then retrieve the blood clot in a mechanical way. So currently, there are only two main ways of treating clot. The first one is aspiration thrombectomy. Basically, it's a vacuum pump. Right, so we all have vacuum in our homes. So vacuum is that the catheter is over 1 meter long. It inserts from the femoral artery from the leg and goes all the way to the brain. And it would navigate through the very curvy vasculature eventually to get to the clot site. And then the doctor would turn on the pump and wait for 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, and see whether we can actually get out the clot. The failure rate is pretty high. Another technology on the right-hand side is called a standard retriever. There's a mesh-like thing. It would mechanically deploy and engage with the clot, and we'll try to pull it in. So the clot, it will be pulled into the catheter. But these failure rates are still pretty high because the clot is big, right? So for a big clot to get into a very small catheter, there are only two ways for it to get into the catheter. Either it would deform or it will rupture. If it ruptures, it will travel downstream to block somewhere else. And then it will never be able, so people will never be able to get rid of the clot in the distal region. So let's see one example here. My doctor collaborator here at Stanford, Dr. Jeremy Hyde, this is one of his patients. And combining the two technologies, aspiration and standard retriever, on the left-hand side, that is the patient's angiogram before treatment. You see that beyond that yellow arrow, we don't see blood flow going beyond that point, right? So that's angiogram showing that there's a clot blocking the middle cerebral artery, the first segment. And after 7 times treatment, eventually he still couldn't save the patient because the technology nowadays is not perfect, right? So there's still a lot of room for improvement. Now let's see what the milli-spinner thrombectomy can do. So this is the new mechanism I'm introducing today. I also brought this spinners with me today. It's only 1 millimeter big, and we don't have time for a Q&A, but I'm staying for the break and the lunch. If you want to look at the actual device, then feel free to come and take a look. So now let's look at what the milli-spinner thrombectomy can do. Starting from a video showing what the pure aspiration, which is the current state-of-the-art technology, we waited, so the video is accelerated 12 times. And after waiting for 2.5 minutes, nothing happened. So right now aspiration is on, it couldn't get the clot out. Now it's with our milli-spinner in, and now we don't have any acceleration. It's real time showing the spinner once we turn on the spin. So it's a spinning device. Once we turn on spin, in a couple of seconds, it will remove the clot completely. And you may wonder what is actually happening. Now, what the magic here is that if we look at this video shows that we have the milli-spinner inside of the catheter, and then we stick the spinner slightly outside to clearly see how it's interacting with the clot. If you look at the change to the clot, initially we have a very large clot showing at the bottom, so that's the actual size of the clot that we're testing. And after treatment, right after milli-spinner treatment, you will see two major changes. First of all, we see a huge volume reduction, and it's also accompanied with a color change. And question to the audience, what do you think is actually happening that is causing the change of color and change of volume? Red cells are gone. Red blood cells are gone. Correct, because that contributes to the color change, right? So the reason that the clot is red because we have red blood cells. And after treatment, you see that we do not rupture the clot. We are not rupturing the clot at all. The clot do not fragment. At the same time, what is actually happening is that we are changing the volume at the same time and getting rid of all the red blood cells. So how we're actually doing it is to shrink the clot over 95% in this volume in place. Compress it, shrink it, and then remove it. So if we look at the microstructure, that's exactly telling us what we're doing to the clot in the really small blood vessel. When the spinning component is spinning, right, so it's spinning at a very high frequency, it interacts with the clot in a way that is densifying this fiber network. Remember that I had a specific emphasize the microstructure of the clot, which is made of fiber network constraining all the red blood cells. When we're spinning the device, it interacts with the clot so that it densifies the fiber network. At the same time, it squeezes out all the red blood cells. That is how we're achieving this very significant volume reduction of the clot. And if you think of the mechanism, how we're actually achieving this through a spinning component. And when I explain this mechanism to general audience, and people always think, well, how can you describe it in a very easy, understandable way? So here is an example. If we think about microstructure of the clot, it's very similar to cotton fiber, right? Because it's essentially all the fiber network. Think about we have this very loosely distributed cotton fiber network, and now you apply compression and shear. You compress it between your palms, and then you rub it, right? So eventually what you're going to get is a very densified, compact fiber network that has an extremely large volume contraction. So that is exactly what we're doing here through this spinning mechanism to interact with the clot. All right, so animals, we've done 12 animal studies here at Stanford Hospital, and we inject the big clot and eventually measure the revascularization. And you can see here's an example on the left-hand side, that is the angiogram, the roadmap showing there's no clot blockage. And the middle image shows that we inject the clot, it's blocking somewhere. And then on the right-hand side is showing the fully revascularization after the spinner treatment. So here are two videos that are pretty cool because clot is not really opaque, so we cannot see it under X-ray. And in order to see how the spinner is actually interacting with clot in the real animal, and we doped radio-opaque powders when we fabricate a clot. So the left-hand side video shows the profile of the clot, and when I play the video, this is under aspiration, which is the current state-of-the-art technology using vacuum force to get rid of the clot. And you see that after 2.5 minutes, it's not doing anything to the clot. The clot is still there, it's big and it's tough, it cannot be removed by aspiration technology. And then on the right-hand side, that's the video showing the milli-spinner interacting with the clot. And this is real-time video. You will see the darkened color, which shows the fiber densification of the clot. And eventually, in a few seconds, it will remove the clot completely and get the complete revascularization. So a little bit on the summary of the animal study. For a stroke patient, the treatment, the evaluation of the treatment is called the golden standard is called the first pass effect. It means that you get in the catheter once and achieve full revascularization. And that is only currently achieved in less than 40% of the patient. So with our technology, and we're actually treating very tough clots in the animal study, we can bring this success rate to extremely higher comparing to the existing aspiration technology. And on the right-hand side, that graph shows that the 6 cases that failed by existing technology, and we use the milli-spinner to rescue them, and we can achieve a fully revascularization on those cases. So switching gear to the robotic system, and if we look at the brain vasculature, so the actual device is actually pretty small. Again, I have this robotic version with me today as well. So we call it magnetic milli-spinner microbot. So it's controlled by a magnetic field and it's completely untethered. So it's a robotic system that can swim, it can navigate in blood vessels and swims all the way to the clot and then digest the clot and swim back, and we can call it a day. So if we look at the brain vasculature, it's extremely tortuous. It's very curvy. So we see this, the highlighted region is where most of the clot would block the blood vessel in the brain. And one very challenging point is that a lot of these equipment, catheters, guide wires, and microcatheters, they can navigate to the neck, but it's very challenging for them to go through this extremely curvy vasculature in the brain. So then we thought about, okay, if we can have something, this is real-time in video showing the swimming speed of the magnetic milli-spinner. So if we can have something that has no tether, then we don't have the limitation of those equipment, right? So it's because think about those equipment that are over 1 meter long. The only degree of freedom that surgeons have is right here, right? In the leg, and you push and then turn. That's the only control they have. And it's really difficult to control the navigation of those equipment in the brain. And oftentimes there's a huge risk, especially for large equipment, large catheter. It can damage the blood vessel and cause internal bleeding. And now we invented this magnetic milli-spinner, and we use external magnetic field. When we spin the external magnetic field, it will drive the spinning motion of the magnetic milli-spinner, and it navigates in a brain blood vessel. So here is so this is a flow model that is a true to size human cerebral artery, and you will see the magnetic milli-spinner navigating. It swims, it propels itself, and it will swim to the target site. So the target was the M1 region, the middle cerebral artery segment 1. And on the right-hand side, this video is taken in the real blood vessel. This is a pig internal carotid artery. And we actually had a camera to look at how it navigates, swim in the blood vessel very freely and without damaging the blood vessel, of course. So of course, now we demonstrate the navigation capability of the magnetic milli-spinner, and that's great, right? You can swim in blood vessel, but we don't want something to swim in our brain and not doing anything. So let's look at the multifunctionality of it. Is that its structure is so simple, and it's a very important geometric property, which is a hollow cylinder combined with this very carefully designed pitch angle and the lateral slits that generates a very interesting and important flow field that creates a highly localized suction. So that's a lot of on the engineering side. But if we, let's run this video again. So it can propel itself to swim in blood vessel at the same time when it reaches a blood clot. By the same mechanism, it can digest the clot by densifying the fiber network, eventually shrink the blood clot in place, and it can shrink the blood clot actually over 95% with over 95% of volume reduction. So eventually we can just treat the clot in place, and then it will swim back. If we reverse the magnetic field, it will swim back all the way to the introducing sheath, and then that's the finishing point of the treatment of the stroke. So hopefully this technology, we really believe that this new technology and new mechanism is bringing a new opportunity to treat stroke and also heart attack and all clots in the human body. And we will see where this technology will go. So we have 2 companies spun out from Stanford working on different indications. One is on the stroke, another one is currently on the peripheral system to treat deep vein thrombosis and pulmonary embolism. And the one on stroke, we have an unexpected human trial started later this year in October. So I will stop my talk here, and eventually I would like to acknowledge my students who worked on this project, and also many of you may know Paul Yak, who actually guided us all the way from the very beginning, the concept stage, all the way to the spinning out from Stanford to take this technology forward. So thank you so much.